Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Conservative Poet with me, Amania. I'm so excited that you are here today. So, I have been wanting to make this video for quite some time. I mean, for a long time. And today's the day we're going to talk about why is it that women in sports today or women who has benefited in sports are not speaking up for what's happening right now with transgenders taking over the women's space in sports. So, if you're interested in having that conversation, then let's go. So I want to focus in this conversation on the women who are currently still alive and are not speaking up for women and girls. And I'd also like to talk about the women who paved the way for women today to have this opportunity. So my thought is, what would the women of yonder, the ones who fought in the 1900s, early on, to get women to where we are now in this arena, what do you think they would say if they were still alive in reference to what's going on today in women's sports? With these changing times, will women continue to win medals? Not if biological men are running in the races. Well, ladies, move over and make room for the strong men. Black women athletes have made significant contributions to track and field throughout history. And here are some examples. And before I get into the examples of some of these athletes, I would just like to throw it out there. We're going to just throw it out there that women today, Black women today, these women paved the way. But I'm just kind of curious if these women were not able to get themselves into these track and field programs and was able to provide for themselves and their families, what would they have done? I don't know. But I flip that now to say those were opportunities that Black women had. So now I would argue that opportunities are being taken away from the Black woman to give it to men. Opportunities are being taken away from women in the track and field in sports and being given to men. Large white men at times. Just saying. Wilma Rudolph. Rudolph was the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in a single Olympics at the 1960s Games in Rome. 1960. Wow, they let the Negroes out in the 60s? You could leave the country? My God, that's shocking to know you could leave the country. Anyway, she overcame polio as a child and went on to become one of the most dominant sprinters of her time. Alice Coachman. Coachman was the first Black woman to win an Olympic gold medal at the 1948 Games in London. God damn it! If they let them out in the 60s, they let them out in the 48. These are Black people, right? She set a world record in high jump and became a symbol of hope for Black Americans during time of segregation and discrimination. Florence Griffith Joyner, known as Flojo, I remember Flojo, Joyner set world records in the 100s and 200-meter sprints at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. Iconic one-legged racing suit and elaborate hairstyles made her a fashion icon as well as a track and field legend. Jackie Joyner Kersee is considered one of the greatest athletes of all time. With 6 Olympic medals, 3 gold, 1 silver, 2 bronze to her name, she set the world record in the heptathlon 3 times and is widely regarded as the greatest female athlete of the 20th century. Allyson Felix. Felix won a total of 9 Olympic medals, including 6 gold, and is the most decorated American Olympic track and field in history. She holds multiple world champions and titles and has broken several world records. And we also have Tidy Pickett and Louise Stokes. They are known as the first U.S. Black women to be selected for the Olympics in 1932. I tell you, Black people have really come a long way. They were left off the 4x100 relay. Stokes traveled but didn't compete in the 1936 Olympic Games, but Pickett did in the 800-meter hurdles, making her first Black U.S. woman to compete in the Olympics. Is it any woman? Period. American woman, period. That was a Black woman. Wow, America. Blacks have really come a long way. So there you have it. Those are some of the women who has made significant progress for women in sports in general, in track and field. Some of those are alive and some of them are dead. So now let's talk a little bit about the other part of this video. Tide, Florence, JoJo, Alice, and many more women have passed on. And so, and I believe that they would be rolling over in their graves because of this nonsense that we see currently going on. These women, they paved the way for women to have a place in women's sports. They made women sports, and they would be ashamed. They would be so ashamed of what is happening today. And they would be even more ashamed of those women, those legends who are still alive today but are not competing, but have nothing to say about what's going on. That is even worse. Here are some more women that we didn't mention, and that's currently still alive, at least of when I pulled these footages. Wynomia Titus is the first person to win the 100-meter run in a back-to-back Olympics, winning gold in 64 and in 68. Titus also competed in the 200-meter. Diratu Tulu, born in 72, is the first Ethiopian woman and the first Black African American, a Black African to win an Olympic gold medal. Fatuma Roba, born in 73, is an Ethiopian runner and the first African woman to win gold medal in the women's Olympic marathon race in Atlanta 1996. So these women are still alive. And also, these women are alive. That means they still have their voice. They still have their voice. They still have their voice where they can stand up and speak about these nonsense, crazy things that's going on. They can still help. I know some of them are old, but you still have a voice. and you still have common sense. Well, at least I would hope they do. The two athletes in the women's track and field that I would like to focus on is Jackie Joyner Kersee and Allyson Felix. Felix is a young American woman. I think she's 40 or so, she's somewhere there. And obviously, Jackie Joyner Kersee is much older than that. But they both still have a voice and they can speak up during these times for women and girls of the future and now, because women paved the way for them to be who they are at this very moment in time. So we're going to take a look closer into that. Jackie Joyner Kersee and Allyson Felix. These two women are still kicking and breathing, unlike Wilma, Flojo, Jackie, and so many more. Allyson and Jackie Joyner Kersee can really make a difference today with the attack that is happening on women and girls sports. I'm asking Jackie and Allyson to stand up for girls and women and to use their platform to make their voices heard, that they know that if they were competing against men and women, that they would not be where they are today. All those nice medals, all those fancy medals, y'all probably wouldn't have them. Why? Because you can't outrun the men. Don't you ladies see that opportunities are being taken away from other little black children, other black girls, other black women? Opportunities that you had, they're being taken away and they're being given to men. Don't you have opinions on that? Don't you want to have a conversation about that? Can you imagine yourself, Jackie, having to run against Carl Lewis, for example, or Michael Johnson? You think you could do that? Do you think you could still win and get your medals? Allyson, do you think you can take on Usain Bolt? Do you think you can take on the Boltman? I don't think so. You wouldn't have medals now if that were the situation. So why aren't you using your platform to stand up and speak up for girls? But this whole taking over in the women's space is not just in track and field, it's in swimming also. And it's moving its way across different sports. So swimming, for example, you have men who can't compete against other men in swimming, and so they decide, well, hey, why not go and say I'm a transgender now, and I want to compete against women. So yeah, they're gonna put you in, man. You're gonna be put in right there with the women. Why? Because hey, you say that's what you are. And so we're living this. This is not just me saying this. This is actually happening in reality. These people are living in fantasy, but these actions are taking place in the reality. Sione Manuel, she is a swimmer and she has been very fortunate to compete and win medals and, made a name for herself in the sport. But Simone, I'm curious as to why you're not using your platform to talk about these things, these issues that's affecting women's issues as well as girls' issues. I mean, you are a role model. The wave was paved for you, and now you're reaping the benefits that other future girls may not have. Because why? Because they have biological men in the sport. But here you are with a beautiful platform, but yet you're not speaking out about these things. And so I actually wonder, how is this moving forward? Now, I wonder, are biological men already playing tennis, taking over that tennis space? Are the Venus sisters going to react to this? Venus and Serena Williams in the tennis space. Can they take men on? Can they beat men too? It's I wonder what would happen. Would they speak out if men decided to get into their spaces across the racket? Serena, can you take them? Can you take on that man? These are the things that this is where we're headed if we don't start to speak up in reference to what is going on. Well, there is hope. We have one female athlete who is standing up against this craziness, this nonsense, and her name is Riley Gaines, young girl swimmer who's decided enough is enough. She's going to stand up for her rights and for the rights of future girls, and then the rights of these current girls who are currently trying to get to that level. Riley has been harassed. She has been harassed like you would not believe. Hate has been being thrown at her at every which way. But this girl is strong, able, and capable. And she is going to make change for women in these spaces. As I close this video, I just want to say, where are the feminists? Where are the women who's supposed to support women? And they talk about all the time, women this and women's rights and women's rights and women's rights and women's rights. But what about this? Women are literally being replaced. I've laid it all out very nicely. Women are literally being replaced. And where are the seasoned athletes to talk about this? Serena Williams, Venus Williams, and all the women that I've laid out in this video. But none of them seem to be taking that mantle and speaking up against these tragedies against women. And as I talked about these sports and all the women that from the beginning, from the history until now, all of these women have been Black, because a lot of Black women have benefited from track and field and sports and so on, just like Black men. But I find it interesting that the only white person that I could connect to all of this really is a young white girl by the name of Riley Gaines, who are standing up against the mob, against all the voices and she's standing up against all of it. Little white girl, not Jackie Joyner Kersee, veteran Black athlete, not Allyson Felix, who has benefited and broken records. She's not talking. Not the swimmer, not anybody. But this here little white girl named Riley Gaines, I find it interesting. Dare I say? Courage, backbone, stamina, the great white hope. You let me know what you think in the comments. And please share this video, subscribe, share. Please. I thank you for watching and doing all of these things. And again, I am trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by Christmas. Help me get there. Help me get there. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. And we've got some souls to save, starting with these cowardice athletes.